I have a small request. Our goal is to deliver you the best practical knowledge, and if this video gives even 1% value, please press the subscribe button. It's free for you and means us a lot.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our FinEcon podcast. Today we are with Timur Sattarov, who is currently working at Deutsche Bundesbank, which is the central bank of Germany. And Timur Aka, assalamu alaikum, welcome to our podcast, and thanks for agreeing to share your experience with us, with our audience. So
thank you, and salam alaikum once again. Thank you also for having me. I'm happy to be here with you.
Nice. Yeah. Timur Aka, as I said, you are working at Deutsche Bundesbank, which is Central Bank of Germany. And my first question would be, is a warm-up question, like, why Central Bank of Germany, not the Central Bank of Uzbekistan? Why did you choose to work here?
That's a very nice warm-up question, Anwar. It's actually quite easy because living in Germany for the last, if I'm not mistaken, 14 years. And I did here my master. I finishing now my PhD, and I also worked here for the last 8 to 10 years. And in Deutsche Bundesbank, there was a nice position, which was quite interesting for me from the professional perspective. Therefore, I chose Deutsche Bundesbank in that sense. And maybe coming a bit in the future of our talk, I very liked or was very interested in working on finance, AI in finance specifically. So that's basically why I have selected a German central bank, because it collects a lot of financial data. And the position was a data scientist, so I wanted to do AI on finance. That's why I picked this organization. And I couldn't pick the Uzbek central bank because I basically was in Germany at that point of time. So it's pretty much simple decision.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's pretty clear for me. Yeah. I know that you did your master's at the University of Bonn in computer science, at the same university at which I'm currently doing my master's degree. And another interesting question to me is that would you in the future maybe go back to Uzbekistan and work for Central Bank of Uzbekistan or any other kind of organization in Uzbekistan, or would that not be possible for you, that you will see your future in Germany?
No, absolutely. Actually, working at the German central bank doesn't mean that doesn't mean that in the future I will not work in the central bank of Uzbekistan or any other country. And coming back to Uzbekistan could be also possible depending on the situation that will be in the future. So I'm quite open in that sense. Also taking into consideration how fast and interesting Uzbekistan is evolving and developing at the moment, that there could be a chance that at some point of time we will do an interview in Uzbekistan maybe, and I will interview you maybe, that you will be in Germany. But I'm kidding, no. Let's see. It's as I said, absolutely possible, and I'm quite open, and I enjoy working in the developing atmospheres. Also, with Uzbekistan, I'm connected quite good. So all of my friends, my family, and I have good connections. So that's possible also, of course.
Yeah, that's nice. And how often do you go to Uzbekistan in a year? Or
I try to go there at least once a year, minimum at least once a year, at least so that I don't forget my Uzbek language. But also to see my friends and family, of course, spend time with them as much as possible.
yeah, cool. So I think you have been living in Germany for like almost 15 years, and can you tell us a little bit of story of how did you end up in Germany and how did you end up in data science? Like that would be interesting for us, for the students, for the audience of our project.
Sure, sure. For me, it started actually back then in 2012 when I was admitted to the master program of computer science in Bonn. But before that, I also gained some professional experience. 3 years I worked at Aloka Bank in Tashkent. And before that, I finished my bachelor studies at the National University of Uzbekistan, Tashgu, Milli Universiteti. And I actually, after the 3 years at Aloka Bank, I wanted to do my master, continue to do my master. And I actually applied at Tashgu again, but didn't get a place there. So, and I was quite upset. But my mom, she told me that don't worry, it's all happens for a good reason. So it's probably good. Maybe you have some other path. And I started applying abroad. And Germany was also one of the countries in the list. So I applied to several universities in Germany, UK, and Malaysia, I think was the third option. And when I got admissions from all of the mostly all of the universities, but Germany was the best choice because the cost of the tuition fee was almost nothing. So you need, as you may know, you need to pay like, I think back then it was like 200 euros per semester, which is nothing in comparison to UK studies where I needed to pay, I think, 20,000 pounds, and in Malaysia, I think it was like 10,000. So the decision was clear back then. Germany was the perfect combination for quality of study and cost. Especially for the students who listen to this talk, this is from my point of view, Germany is the perfect combination where you can get a very high quality, solid education for an affordable price.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. So for me, the Germany was the best option at that point of time, and my mom was, of course, happy. I think she was even happier than me. And it was the University of Bonn, basically, computer science department, and I quit my job at Aloka Bank back then and came here to study. I also have to say that my coming here wouldn't be possible if my parents back then couldn't support me financially. So I didn't win any scholarship. I didn't have any solo scholarship, but my parents, they were able to give me this first amount of money. I think that back then it was 8,000 euros you needed for 1 year. And they were able to give it to me for my studies. And this was, because of that, my coming basically was possible. Because other than, if that would not be the case, then I probably couldn't come here. So my study basically started at Bonn. In the beginning, frankly speaking, I was quite nervous and not sure in my own how good I am. And I thought probably I would they would quit or didn't let me study in the beginning. But after the first semester, when I got very high grades, I believed in myself and I thought, like, okay, this is possible. I can compete with Germans. I can compete with other university students. I'm not that stupid. So it was quite nice and good motivation that boosted my performance. And after the first year already, I think at the second or third semester, I also found a job, which is also for the students who listen now is also quite important. In Germany, you can find a job which can finance basically your studies here. So the money that you get from the job that you can do in parallel to your studies would be enough to cover the studies. And from that point of time, I didn't need any money from my parents, and I was covering everything by myself.
Yeah.
Basically, this is how my master program ended up at the end of the day. And and I always, at the end of my master program, I wanted to do my thesis at the company, so not at the university, but at the company, so basically very applied oriented. That's why I applied to PricewaterhouseCoopers. And PricewaterhouseCoopers, they offered the thesis, writing thesis at the company. So I actually was paid while writing my thesis. This was the best combination back then. And after that, they seemed to like me and offered me a full-time position.
Nice.
And that was quite nice for me. My parents also were quite happy for my achievements. And I spent at PricewaterhouseCoopers 2 years. This was a very nice and great experience. I worked at the Department of Forensic Data Analytics. This is a very interesting field of study and very interesting direction, which I liked, and which actually changed a lot in my career perspectives. After that, as I said, at that point of time at PricewaterhouseCoopers, I very much my interest gained in the direction of AI in finance. So I wanted to work on machine learning, but specifically in finance area. So not with the vision or text or videos, but in finance domain. So financial transactions, fraud detection systems, something like this. And Deutsche Bundesbank, they had this nice position back then. They also looked at this direction, and they offered a data scientist position back then. I liked it, applied, and was quite successful. They took me, and since then, I think now it's 8 years since I'm there at the Deutsche Bundesbank. Also, then regarding my PhD program, I didn't stop research while I was working. Usually in the evenings, when after I came from work, in the evenings I also continued research with my colleagues from PwC, and we were writing papers and submitting it to conferences. So the research was kind of also part of my life back then. That's why I thought PhD is probably a good way to continue, and I like doing research. And also the third reason is basically, as I said before, I like to do applied research. So when I did my master thesis, I did it at the company, not at university, to see what the effect of application at the company. Similarly here, I do my PhD in parallel with my work. So I'm full-time employed, and I'm doing my PhD in parallel, because I wanted to see the application effect at the Deutsche Bundesbank, how it's possible, the research that I'm doing, what is the effect of its application in the real world scenario. Have to say it's very challenging, and I wouldn't advise to do this, because you lose your private life basically, because you have to study in the evenings, in the weekends, and it's very difficult and challenging. So think about it multiple times if you want to do something similar or follow the same path I did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting background, and you have very interesting story, probably. Yeah, I can relate to your experience at the University of Bonn as an Uzbek student. I think most Uzbek students, when they come to Germany, they suffer in the first semester. They feel the imposter syndrome, like because there is always a feeling of comparison yourself with others, and you feel dumb. And then after the first semester, we understand that you're not lagging behind.
Yes,
Actually, you can be smarter than them. So that's also happening to a lot of other students in Germany from Uzbekistan. Yeah.
exactly. Sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm coming from Uzbekistan, maybe the educational system is not that high as in Germany, and you're not doing well at the lectures. But then when you start studying and really like um, really do study, listen to everything, you understand that you are the same person as the others. You can do the same thing as the others. It doesn't mean that you are from Uzbekistan or Bangladesh or India or some other country. You can do the same as they do. You have the same level of competences and competition. So it's possible, guys. If you want to do it, it's possible. You can do it. You have to work hard. Just a small hint and from my side, um, at some point of time, I remember during my master program, I basically lived in the library. I went to the library of Bonn. It's basically, by the way, very beautiful.
Yeah.
I went to the library at 9 a.m. and came back home at midnight, around 11. So I spent the whole day there, I think, like non-stop before the exams. It was a very tough time, but it was worth it because I learned a lot and I studied a lot, and also personally I gained. I had many friends there. There was our kind of meeting point. But the thing I want to point out. Um, when you study hard, then you gain afterwards very nice benefits afterwards. So this was my experience. I basically lived at the library from 9 to 11 for several months. That was my experience back then.
So there is a lot of hard work and your parents' investment behind this impressive profile, right?
Yes.
So that's not, yeah, true. Yeah, that your story is very interesting. That you got rejected from the National University of Uzbekistan for master's program, and then you got into Bonn, and now you're working at the highest organization in Europe, one of the highest organizations in Europe, I would say. That's kind of pretty similar story to the famous Uzbek footballer Abdulqadir Husanov,
Yes.
like
Yes.
he like you also did your bachelor's in National University of Uzbekistan. He was a part of the academy of Bunyodkor club, and then he was not selected to play for the club, and then he came to Europe and he ended up playing for Manchester City. So the same thing happened to you, but in a different way. So
Yeah.
very interesting.
You can think of it that way. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, very good. So now I think we can turn into the part where like I should ask some questions about your career more. For example, in Uzbekistan, you worked at Alaqa Bank, and then you came to Germany, and when you were studying at the University of Bonn, you worked as a research assistant, and then you went to PwC, and then can you tell us more about your experience? Like, um, how do you compare working in Uzbekistan at that time and coming to Germany, working as a research assistant, and then working at PwC? How do you compare the environment and also the skills you needed to have?
Hmm. It's actually, I think it's quite difficult for me to compare it because for me, I mean, I worked at a local bank, I think like 15 years ago,
Oh yeah.
and I think the environment in Uzbek companies changed quite significantly since then, and especially within the last several years, it's changed dramatically, I guess, in Uzbekistan. Maybe for me, it would be easier if I share a work environment here in Germany without comparing it, because that would be maybe fair from my point of view. I think in German companies, I mean, basically, it's also only my experience. Many people could maybe disagree with me, but judging from my perspective, German companies usually what is important is the set of skills that you can bring. The projects that are usually created, they are very much concrete. So you have set of projects that are assigned to you, and managers who know or who assign these projects, they usually know the skills that you have and the time that you need to solve the project itself or the steps in the project. So in Germany, it's a very, very kind of concrete and clear. What can you achieve? How can you achieve it? What do you need for it? How many people you need for it? How many skills? What type of skills you need for it? And how much time you need for that? In Germany, also, it's absolutely fine if you say that you cannot solve it or you couldn't solve it along the way, but you have to argument and you have to explain why. It's not working like this, that you didn't solve it or it didn't work just because it didn't work. You have to explain the reason behind it, which I think is fair, and also in Uzbekistan, in many countries, it's also happening in similarly. Yeah. Also, I'm judging from my last 8 years at the German central bank, and you have to know that Germany is is rather bureaucratic country, and especially the Deutsche Bundesbank, which is the governmental organization. So here, since it's a governmental organization, it's extremely even more bureaucratic and very, very structured. So you can Google Deutsche Bundesbank organigram, and you will find the huge map with blocks of departments standardized across each other, and it's very, very much split. So, and why I'm telling this, because this is reflected in the work. You have a clear goals and you have a clear responsibilities. Somebody is responsible for something. If you're not responsible for this, you don't do it. This is like the basic law. But if you're responsible if you're responsible for something, then you have to take into consideration, and you have to do it correctly and clearly. So this is type of governmental organization that is in Germany. So very structured, very clear responsibilities, and very standardized. Maybe it's the right word. Structured is maybe a more correct word. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
One more thing, maybe just briefly, in Germany, very important, at least as of today, the work-life balance. For example, in comparison to USA or UK, for example, the work-life balance is quite important, and the social benefits in Germany are quite strong. So in the companies, the over hours, for example, that you spend, they already tracked, and this is being controlled on the government level according to the laws, which is less strict in the US, for example. In Germany also, for example, in comparison to US, you have on average 30 vacation days, which is in US is I think 15 or 20, something like this. So all these social benefits in Germany, they are quite strong, much more stronger than in USA or UK or Australia, for example.
Yes, I agree, and it's also what I like here in Germany. Like you, as you mentioned, when you were studying, you also did an internship at PwC, and then you had a thesis internship, and then you landed a job there. And I think most of the students who does an internship, who do internships in organizations, and some of them are not able to like land a job or are not able to extend their contract as a full time. And what do you think? What was the skill or what was the soft skill you had at that time that made you able to get the job, full-time job from PwC, and how was the process? Can you share with your experience in that case?
Actually, I think I was also quite lucky to get the job because lucky in terms that I have chosen the field which was very hot at that point of time, and not there were a very small amount of professionals who had such skills. But it of course doesn't underestimate the fact that I really mastered it at that point of time, and probably colleagues at the PricewaterhouseCoopers they needed such skills as mine, and they liked how I did my internship and my master thesis. So they knew basically how I work. They knew how I solve the problems. And for them, it was already clear that such a profile is required for a full-time position. What is important also, back then, I did a lot of online courses. At that point of time, Coursera was just entering the market and offered a lot of, I think it was one of the first online platform who offered the courses, online courses. And at that point of time, I was quite lucky because it was free for everyone. Like all the courses were free, not like today, but back then it was free. So I just took courses in data analytics, machine learning, AI, and many others to learn the stuff, to learn something that I didn't learn at the university. Basically expand my knowledge more and more in different in the area that I had selected, but more like on a practical level, something that my university didn't like something that university couldn't give me at the maximum amount. And this, I think, was very helpful. These online courses were very, I gained a lot of practical experience, which you as a student do not get anywhere, right? Like companies usually want someone with at least some experience. But as a student, how do you get this experience if you just a student, right? It becomes kind of a loop, which is challenging for the students who are searching the job in the market. And these online courses were a great initiative, and these online courses were a great help for me and for students. Yeah, you show that you did already something. You show that you know how to solve it, and for companies, it's also a sign. It's a sign that you are willing to study. You're willing to study something that you don't know. You're willing to learn something that you don't know. So I think this was a very nice kind of trade-off for the companies and me back then. So I would recommend the students, for example, to use this opportunity, study the online courses, master the knowledge in order to show your future employer that you do something outside of your university. like you are doing some extracurricular activities, you can learn something else. So this is, I think, one of the key drivers when people hire students. Like me, for example, now when if I hire someone, I look at his profile and okay, yeah, university, this is great, but what do you do in addition? Like, do you have something that distinguishes you from other thousands of students?
Yeah, that's a really good recommendation. And then it's a free source of learning. All the Coursera, Datacam, and other learning platforms are very good. And I know other students, other people who found in Germany as well. They exploited these platforms to get their job, and that's very good recommendation, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah. I like when you were working at PwC, as you mentioned, you worked at forensic analysis, and then can you tell us a bit more about what is forensic analysis and what did you do in that position?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I can't share the exact details of the project. This is not possible, but maybe I can give you like a broad overview about this field. Forensic is related to criminalistic usually, so this is very interesting area where some crime has happened or some investigation is required. Yeah, and the experts in this field, they usually need it to perform some analysis maybe or investigation further. In forensic department, there were people with different skills. There were lawyers, there were data analysts, there were software engineers, graph analysts, like different amount of people with different knowledge, mathematicians, physicians. You need like a very quite a broad instrument of skills for forensic analytics. And I was in the forensic data analytics team. So this is the team who is focused on the analytical part. So, for example, some financial crime has happened, and the investigation is required. What do you need to do this? You need to collect the data. You need to collect some information. Who was involved? What kind of problem happened, and all this data needs to be analyzed. And this data back then, it's usually it could have different formats. It could be tabular data, it could be text, it could be SMS messages, it could be graph data, anything. And our team. In our team, as I said, there were different people with all these skills, and depending on the project, you usually, you need to solve this. You basically need to do the investigation. It's like in criminal movies with detectives and all these activities. Not exactly, but something similar in this direction. We worked with data analysis. This is basically we didn't have pistols or something, but we were doing with computers, of course. But it's basically investigation. You need to find some smoking gun. You need to find the crime. You need to find the fraud. Maybe like the fraud detection was one of the most popular cases. There was some, I don't know, in some company, somebody maybe stole the money, and you need to find out who did it and how. So basically, some fraudulent activity happened. Fraud detection. This is probably one of the popular scenarios, one of the most popular cases. That's why I say that projects were usually very, very interesting, and they were not the same always. They were always different, and that added even more excitement and challenge, because you solve every time a new task, and this was very, very interesting. That's why I got interested in AI in finance specifically, while being at the forensic data analytics group. We had a number of projects where the AI in finance were necessary, and I saw that this is very interesting for me, and I wanted to continue deeper in this area.
Yeah, very interesting. So at PwC, you use data science to find criminals, especially financial criminals. Yeah, sounds very interesting. And then you transitioned to the government organization, which is the Central Bank of Germany, Deutsche Bundesbank. And how was the transition like, moving from the private company to the government organization? And why did you decide to change your position, to change your job?
So the decision was quite interesting. Was quite simple. I wanted to continue in this area of AI in finance, and the data, from my perspective, the financial data, the golden source of financial data, is actually lies or being collected by the government. So if you look at the country, any country today, who collects the most of the financial data today, like the banks, like the financial entities? It's the central banks or organizations who control the financial institutions. And that's why I thought this would be probably a perfect place to work on the topics like AI in finance. And in addition, at that point of time, the AI field was not so fancy as it today. It was just in the evolving phases, in the development phases, but it was clear that it will be important in the future. It was clear that it would come sooner or later, and that's why I thought, no, I need to continue master my skills in this area of AI in finance, and the Deutsche Bundesbank was a great choice for that. They also were at the early stages of building the AI platforms for that. That's why for me it was a great opportunity to start building everything from the beginning, from scratch, and to learn how to do it. Yeah, that's, I think, basically the reason.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. And I think you have been working at the Deutsche Bundesbank for 8 years already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, so something would be interesting for me. Let's say I'm an economics student or a computer science student. I'm trying to get an internship or like junior position from the Deutsche Bundesbank. And what do you think? What skills should I have to get the position in your department, for example, or in any other department that you know?
In my group, we are very much focused on data science and data engineering. Therefore, for our group, of course, the solid programming knowledge would be necessary. Also, the machine learning knowledge would be necessary, depending on the position that you would do. And at the same time, data engineering skills. So how to work with data, what type of databases and infrastructure and ETL processes, for example. All this would be also necessary. If you want to, let's say, go for economics at Deutsche Bundesbank, then obviously there you would need a very solid econometrics, macroeconomics. There is a very nice financial stability department who is taking care of the stability of the entire economics. They are doing a very interesting analytics, and they are very interesting projects as well. So there also you would need, I think in all departments today you would need data analysis skills today, since it's all about it's all related. Any decision that government or organization is doing today is based on data. So you would always need the data analytics skills. Yeah. Irrelevant
exactly.
of which programming language you use, you have to know how to work with data. It's something like remember, I don't know, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, people wrote in their CV that they have a skills of Microsoft Office or Excel or the new computer. Nobody writes it today. Nobody does it. It's a basic that everybody must have, right? So something similar is happening with data analytics today and programming as well. Usually, like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, writing a program was only related to the software engineers. But today, if you look at the economists, they're building beautiful products. They're using the Python, R, to build tools, dashboards, build ML, machine learning models, deploy them. It's becoming like a natural today. When you write, "Oh, I know Python" in the CV, any economist would also do it, right? Because it's becoming like a basic of your need. You must be able. You should know these techniques. You should know these instruments to work as economist, for example.
Yeah.
So I think these skills are especially like very, very required today in most of the organizations.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you think being able to analyze data or being able to use data tools is more important than speaking German language? In general, like, is German language required for the Deutsche Bundesbank, or what do you think?
It very much depends in which department you are. So for computer scientists, it's less required. You can, I mean, I started back then at the Deutsche Bundesbank without, or almost with zero German skills. I have to admit, Deutsche Bundesbank made a great conditions for me. They offered me not only the courses, but they offered me a private teacher, which boosted my language skills of German. But if you go, let's say, not in the computer science department, if you go to economics, I think without German would be very, very difficult there. So Deutsche Bundesbank, as I said, is a very German organization, and which means the entire communication, email conversations, all the meetings, it's all in German. There could be an exception, and some groups could do the English just because of you if you don't speak German, but it would probably not last forever. So at some point of time, you would need to learn it, and you would need to, speak German. For IT department, maybe it's less strict, I guess, but for many others, especially economists, financial stability department, I think this is quite an important skills. And also, I have to say that even if you start without German, it will be very challenging for you without German language. You would need to ask every time. Something will be unclear. That it's quite difficult, I would say. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. It's clear. Got it. Yeah. I think for the people of finance and economics, it would be more interesting if you can also tell us about your scope of work you do at Deutsche Bundesbank and how is it related to like economics, finance, because it's a financial institution and it controls the monetary system of the country, which is the biggest economy in Europe. So it will be interesting to tell us about more about it.
Sure. Basically, my focus and responsibilities are lying around building and deploying AI models and bringing them into production. There are different kinds and types of AI models that could be necessary depending on the use case, but it's all focused around machine learning, basically. I have to say also that it's not 100% ML all the time. You would also need, as me personally, I also need like data engineering experience, like handling large volumes of data, transforming, processing them, because we are talking today not about aggregated data, but micro data. So just a brief intro, like brief information. Back then, such organizations like Deutsche Bundesbank, they were collected macro data. This is aggregated data, let's say employment rates or some statistics from the banks. These were aggregated numbers on a monthly basis, let's say. This is very small data that can fit into your Excel easily. Nowadays, they switched to micro data, which means they collect like transactions per transactions, loans per loans, derivatives, all this happening on the transactions level. And therefore, as a result, you are getting on a daily basis, you're getting at around 50 million to 100 million transactions per day, which is a huge amount of data. Like it's a single statistics that I'm talking about, like single maybe derivatives. Imagine you get like 50 million of them per day. And this is a huge amount that needs to be processed and extracted information out of it. Based on this volume of data, there are a number of interesting models that you can build on top. You can build an anomaly detection models to detect anomalies from this data. This is important for data quality because sometimes banks or some financial entities, they report errors, and the anomaly detection systems can help to detect errors in the reporting data. At the same time, anomaly detection systems are helpful for Department of Economics. Let's say they want to predict the probability of default for some entity in the financial market. And usually entities, for example, banks, they behave like normally. You can learn this trend, you can learn this pattern, how they perform, what they buy, what they sell, what they do. But when the crisis happens, or before the crisis, some weird behavior can happen. And with this could be treated as anomaly, and therefore such systems like anomaly detection systems or like this signaling upfront are very important to know that something could happen soon. That Deutsche Bundesbank, for example, there are some triggers that allow our colleagues to monitor such behavior. Of course, this is not only related to anomaly detection. There are like graph-based models that you can use for that, like building the graph of different entities for that. All different kinds of monitoring systems for monitoring basically the economy or the financial entities on the market. I hope I was able to share a little bit of light. I unfortunately cannot go deeper, but maybe just a very high level overview of
that was, I guess, enough, because I know it's a very big topic and it can take hours or like days to explain all of this.
And sensitive,
that was
of course.
Insightful, Thank you for sharing this. Yeah. Earlier you mentioned about the skills that were needed like 5, 10 years ago, and now you mentioned about the skills that we need nowadays to able to find a job. And what do you think? What will be the skills required to find a job 3 or 5 or 10 years from now?
I think the the fundamental skills would still be necessary. Like for software engineers, the programming knowledge would always be necessary. Even though you have such tools today that could write a code for you, I think in 3, 5 years they will be even smarter. But since the human should do the final decision, human should understand what is happening under the hood. You can't simply rely on these instruments like ChatGPTs or code generation models just because they write a perfect code and they can do it fast. You have to understand the underlying logic behind it, what is happening under the hood. So still, I think the fundamental knowledge would be necessary. It doesn't mean that the students shouldn't learn the new tools. And by learning the new tools, I mean like correct or precise prompt engineering. Because this new family of models like LLMs, these are also new instruments, and you have to know how to handle these instruments. It's not simply like throwing a text to it and it magically does something. You can control it, you can force it to do something that you specifically need for your tasks, but you have to find the right way. And this is something that the new generation will learn soon. Maybe a good example, imagine back then we had, when Google just appeared. Previously, we went to libraries and searched for books to get the information out of it. Then when Google appeared, you don't really need it anymore, but just a simple search didn't usually give you a good result. You have to also master the search, how to do a proper searching. This was kind of something that you also needed to learn. It was not difficult, but you needed to learn it, right? So something similarly happens, I think, now with those LLMs. Yeah, you have to not simply throw a prompt out of it, but you have to know how to tune it. You have to understand what is happening also inside this huge model under the hood, at least a little bit on the basic level, so that you're not getting in trouble. That's why I think, like summarizing what I just said, the fundamental knowledge are always important. If you are a computer scientist, you have to have a solid programming knowledge. If you're engineer, if you're economist, then a solid knowledge of macroeconomics, everything that is at the university today. If you're data engineer, solid knowledge of data analysis, everything that is related to this. In addition to this, you have to also learn how to master these tools that would be a new future Google for you. How to extract the knowledge, how to get the right knowledge, how to make it work for you precisely and correctly. So this kind of, I think, I would split it into two blocks. Yeah, foundational knowledge and new skills that would appear soon. You have to learn it quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly. I think the introduction of AI is making the importance of soft skills more and more important, and also, as you mentioned, the importance of foundational knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next question is more about like, because you are a finance and data science person. That would be interesting. What do you think? Like, will AI replace financial analysts in next 10 years?
It depends on what you mean under the financial analyst, but I would say it won't replace financial analyst, but it will boost its productivity significantly. So probably the role of financial analyst could evolve and change over time, maybe significantly, maybe not. It depends how it will evolve. But it could boost his or her productivity significantly. Similarly, like it boosts the productivity of computer science or data scientists today. So it's from my perspective. We are all living in a competition world, right? When you sell yourself to a future company, you sell a bunch of knowledge set as wrapped in your mind, right? And such tools, I call it tools, like those LLMs and systems. They can change the market. They can change the profiles, but they won't change fundamentally the profile, the positions, like the financial analyst. I don't think it will vanish, but it will change dramatically. So those financial analysts who will not be able to use such tools will probably go out of the market or will be replaced by some other analysts, financial analysts, who are able to use these tools much more efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, how is your stance in this case, like AI stealing job from people? Like, there is two kind of views, I guess, in this. For example, some people say that because of AI, the number of jobs will increase because it is opportunity for other industries to grow, and some people say AI steal jobs from people, and it's getting harder and harder to get jobs, especially for the new graduates. What do you think about this?
I think it's both. Um, yes, and partially both, I would say, because yes, the AI is. You can think about the stealing the jobs as well. Similarly, like the Industrial Revolution stole a lot of jobs back then,
Yeah.
just years ago. So here we are also seeing this huge change in the job market. I believe it will add even more tension during competition, because now those people who were not able to write a strong motivation letter can do it easily, right? Those people who were not able to pass the interview can pass the interview as well. So it also brings a lot of uncertainties on the market. Who do you hire? How do you hire? What are the processes? I think the biggest problem, what I see for the moment, is not the job market, but the educational system. From my perspective, the biggest challenge or the biggest problem for us is how do we handle such AI systems for our education. And I can quickly explain it how I see it. The problem lies in the way that students were always lazy, and they will be always lazy. And such tools, they allow students to cheat maybe sometimes, or maybe not even learn something, or you learn it but you forget it quickly. Our brain is designed in that way that it searches for simple solutions. You have to, as I said, when I spent months at the library, It was back then time without ChatGPT. It was only me and computer back then, and I just studied, and something that I didn't understand, I tried to solve it by myself still, spent the time on it, thought about it. So my brain was trying to solve the problem. This is what you learn in the university. You learn the problem solving, right? And in the future now, when we have such tools, they can solve the problems for us pretty quickly. And our brain then stops or doesn't want to solve the problem anymore. This skill kind of dies out in the brain. So that's why this is, from my perspective, a very biggest problem. The students would not be able to, or the problem-solving skills that student would vanish slowly, could vanish. It's not 100%, but it could vanish if such tools would be used over and over again for students. Yeah. This is my biggest concern for now. I'm not so much concerned about the job market, because there I think if you already have some solid knowledge, you can find a job, you can learn, you can use basically the systems, use LLMs for learning new, if you already have the good foundation knowledge. This is very helpful. Like if you are a senior, you already have some experience. These tools, they help you a lot, because then you boost your productivity a lot. But if you are just a graduate without solid knowledge, or just starting to your bachelor, or still at the school, you hardly develop your foundation skills, and it will be difficult for you to develop these problem-solving skills. So that's why, from my perspective, this is one of the biggest problematic and one of the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I think there are some research on this as well, like how using AI in studying impacting negatively this brain of the people. So yeah. Because, as you know, like the job market in Europe is currently not good, and a lot of people are struggling to find jobs, especially the graduates, and some of them are relating this to the introduction of AI, but I don't think that is the case, because all of this is happening, like the energy crisis, war in Ukraine, and Trump, and the war in Iran. I would say that is the reason, not AI, and I think AI would increase the opportunity to get jobs, and it would increase the number of jobs available in the economy, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the economic situation, the crises that we have today, they're not because of the AI. Yes, AI has some impact, but these are minor in comparison to what's happening in the whole world, right? So, as you correctly mentioned, it's possible that the AI will do some impact. It will impact the job market. It will make a lot of changes, especially in the IT sphere. We actually see a lot of layouts in the top tech companies already, most probably due to the deployment of AI systems. But it's a transition period. From my point of view, it's a transition period which will happen, and sooner or later it will stabilize quite nicely, and we will see the demand or the drop of IT applications or positions. But the economic situation, something that is happening outside of the job market, that's something that that's something different, of course.
True. Like the people who are afraid of AI today, like AI stealing job, is someone similar to the Luddites in 19th century in Britain. You know about it? Like when there was the Industrial Revolution, and the people were building factories, and there were a group of people who were afraid that the machines will steal their job, and they were destroying the machines at night. That they were called Luddites, and now we have like some modern Luddites who are like afraid of these changes. So yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic, and we can talk more about it, but maybe we will need to organize a new podcast for this.
Definitely. But it's
Yeah.
indeed, maybe quite briefly, it's indeed, um, yeah, the problem, because your job will be stolen. Imagine if you are 55 year old already, and the AI came, and AI is doing your job now, and what can you do? You obviously need to requalify or learn something new. But at 55, who does this? And can you do
Mm,
this? This is the biggest problem. And people want to have their good life. In Germany, you have to work till 67 before you reach the pension. So imagine if you're 55 and your job was stolen by the AI, I mean, or you were replaced, or some at least partially replaced. What do you do? Do you like you need 15 or even more years till you get a pension? It's
uh,
and this is a huge amount of people in the economy. What do you do with them? When we speak about these topics, we usually think about the young generation. Yeah, of course they can change, they can learn something new quickly. It's not a problem. But what about the other part of the people? They have loans, they have flats they need to pay for, uh, they have mortgages, leasing cars. I mean, you can't simply throw them out of the
yeah,
economy. So
yeah,
this
yeah,
topic is very tricky. You have to take into consideration all the groups when you do such statements about the AI. It's not that easy.
yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah. Well, Timur, okay, because we opened this topic, the AI topic, let's do some freestyle philosophy maybe. Like, what do you think in the future will AI replace all the jobs, and at some point people will not have to work anymore, and we can make the robots work, and robots making robots, and then we can only do our hobbies, and we don't have to work anymore. That do you think that will happen in like how many years, or 50 years, or 100 years? What do you
That's a very nice philosophical question. I had it once with my colleague from PricewaterhouseCoopers when we were in the train from, I think, Stuttgart to Frankfurt. We had this conversation, and I would love to see the time when robots would collect the food for us. They do not necessarily have to do the job for us, but if we can automatize the entire process of food collection
think?
from seed to bringing it to the house fully, that would be fantastic, because then it would mean that most of us would not shouldn't basically worry about the food anymore. I'm telling this because I think more than half of the population today are working for food in the world.
Mhm.
They
Yes.
they do not earn that
Yeah.
much as IT people or lawyers or engineers earn. Their salary is enough only for food and basic needs, right? But
Yeah.
if there would be a chance to make robots do the entire job and also distribute it correctly through the over the entire population, that would be fantastic. I would love to be in that time. Of course, for many people, they would mean that you have more time, you can do your hobbies. I have a lot of list on my hobbies also that I want to do, but I can't because I need to work, right? But this would be possible for millions of people to maybe start some job that they were not able to do because it's just less paid. Like I know many people who switch to IT, uh, but they hate it, and they just do it because it brings more money, but they didn't like it. They want to do painting, maybe they want to help volunteer or work with animals, but it's all underpaid, and they have to do the job that they don't like. uh, Therefore, I'm not sure if this would be actually possible, because the entire system in which we live today, the capitalistic system, is based on the money and the growth of money, right? Growth of revenue. And if you imagine, if you have robots everywhere and there is no revenue, there's a zero revenue, this would be very bad for big companies, I guess.
Yeah.
So there is a big tendency, like in general, we want this, but if we still live in a capitalistic system, it won't be possible. Therefore, we need to probably, when we reach the phase when we know that robots can do it and we can automatize it, the people need to switch to some new paradigm, which would allow us to still do our job, job we like, but for example, the robots would do the routine for us, and it will not harm the elites. It will not harm the society in general.
I see. Yeah. So your stance in this is that if these things happen, like the AI will bring communism to the society. Do you believe in this? Because some people say that AI bring more inequality to the communities. Which one do you believe more?
I think it's going in this direction, that AI that AI kind of brings us more towards socialism and then communism, because it takes a lot of routine works that we do that we still do manually today, and sooner or later it will probably occupy all the routine works, routine jobs that we as humans do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe that we are going in this direction. But as I said, in order for us to switch to this new paradigm, whatever it will be, socialism or communism, whatever it will be, there must be some significant changes, or we need to agree on something. Yeah, I don't know whether it's
change at some point.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah. But there is also one scenario such as that it will bring more inequality, because the people who are exploiting AI currently will be the next level billionaires. And for example, let's say there won't be socialism, but let's say now the people who are working, but in the future, let's say like you have animals or something like this, you have robots, and as you have more robots, you are more richer because more robots doing more job and you are rich. And if I have a poor person, I have just one robot working for me and I'm earning less, and that can be cause of inequality. And do you think that that's also a possible scenario to happen? Because if we keep the capitalist society.
No, we have to distinguish two things today here. When we speak about automatization, full automatization of the society, we have to take into consideration that these robots should belong to the society. If these robots belong to some company, of course, as a result, this company would exponentially become a billionaire company, because all the profit would stay or remain, or not profit, but the robots would work for profit, and then the company would be there will be a huge inequality. There should be a dramatic change, and the robots should belong to the society. When the robots belong to the society, there will be a zero profit, and the zero profit, which would mean that nobody is working for money. Basically, you just work for as you like.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Thank you. Yeah, for now, let's in our philosophical discussion maybe talk more about your PhD, because it's also interesting for us, like what is your topic and what is the research you're doing right now?
Yeah, sure. Let's now jump to the PhD.
Sorry for this quick jump.
We went quite far.
Yeah. Sorry for this, but because we are already like over 1 hour, so maybe that is the last question I ask about your career, and then we can go back to these topics and
Sure.
freestyle a bit, maybe. Yeah.
But I fully agree on that this topic that you opened is quite interesting, and probably also many people, especially young generation, probably as well today, bothers due to the conflicts that we have in the world, due to all this instability and their future. But I fully agree that this topic requires probably another round of interview.
Yeah, of course.
Regarding my PhD, my topic is related to the generation of synthetic data, and specifically generation of synthetic tabular data. Since I work in the finance industry, the dominant modality, the dominant data modality in the finance industry is tabular data. You can think of it as Excels or tables, right? And this is like the type of data that is collected usually or being generated in the finance industry. What I was focused on is on building the models that can generate such tabular data. It's similar to what we have today, like those LLMs, or for example, LLMs, yeah, they generate text, right? There are models like DALL-E that generates images. There are models that generate videos. And my focus is here on generating tabular data. This is another data modality that is also important, especially for financial, for finance domain. That's why I was working on developing the models. Specifically, it's called the diffusion model. Also, it's quite popular for image domain, but I transformed it into a tabular data modality so that the diffusion models can be used for generating tabular data. This is the main topic of my PhD. Why it is important? Because synthetic data is necessary when you're working with sensitive data. Financial data is very sensitive. You can't simply share it with someone or some organization because it has the sensitive nature, like medical data. Therefore, it kind of stops the research or the development of the entire field, because if you can't share it with researchers, if you can't share it with some organizations who need to work with this data, the entire development slows down. And the synthetic data solves this problem, because you take the original sensitive data, you build a kind of copy or like fake data, and then you share it with academics, for example, and they work with synthetic data. They build their models, or they extract some knowledge out of it, which at the end of the day then helps to boost or helps to develop the entire field. That's why the synthetic data is important in that sense, especially for the sensitive domains.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, sounds very interesting and yeah, very good. Well, yeah, apart from this, I think you recently participated in a project with Aloha Bank, which was about implementing AI in banking. Can you tell a bit about more it and how, and so based on your experience like 20 years ago when you were working for Aloha Bank and now coming back to them and working with them for a short time, how do you rate the development of banking sector in Uzbekistan, and maybe a bit more about the project you worked on with them?
I very much enjoyed doing this. I have to mention it was a very short involvement that I was into. It was the workshop organized by one of the startups in Uzbekistan, and the goal was to provide a training to do the training, AI training for employees, for the colleagues of Aloka Bank, and specifically from the practical perspectives of AI systems. And I was I was invited to do a 2 hours presentation in this workshop. There were a lot of other colleagues participated from different countries in these workshops, and I was invited as one of them to do a 2 hour presentation, just sharing my knowledge. There were a couple of topics on my side. So basically, it was not something spectacular, specific, but just a 2 hour workshop presentation, which I personally enjoyed. And I hope also the colleagues of Aloha Bank also enjoyed it. I personally also very much liked that Aloha Bank is doing such initiatives, because I think this is very important for them to bring up the colleagues to speed and to see what is happening outside of the Aloha Bank, outside of Uzbekistan. This, I think, a very nice initiative. So I really was happy that they're doing it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, honestly, what I like about you is that even though you're living and working in Germany, you are still contributing to the development of our country. That's really good, I guess.
Yeah, I hope I see a big potential actually in Uzbek students in Uzbekistan. So I'm I happy to share my knowledge and help if I can somehow.
Nice, yeah. Well, Timur, okay, maybe if you have any suggestions or any topics to share with us, or any recommendations for the students, for the job market candidates who are just graduating and who are trying to find their way in the finance or in data industry, in data field, how just feel free to share with us. That would be very useful.
Sure. So I think one of the important things for the young generation, especially for the young Uzbek generation today, first thing is the level of English. This is something that you have to know already. This is something that you this is something that should be by default in your CV. The good, strong, common knowledge of English, because the entire economy today, the entire world, all the documentation is written in English. So this is something that you must have. Second thing, what I would say, master your professional skills. If you selected economics, master everything that is related to the economy. Be professional. If you selected engineering, software engineering, data science, master everything that is related to data science. Today, you have something that we didn't have back then. I was in the beginning of this phase, but generation before me, they didn't have it. Today, you have an enormous amount of online courses that you can take on to study. You have an enormous amount of information that is available on the internet. You have a very smart systems like LLMs, ChatGPTs. They can that can explain you anything in a very nice form. This is something I didn't have. I had to go to some professor or to speak with my colleagues and ask what is it. But today you have this easily. So you have a huge advantage in comparison to our generation to master your skill set. Yeah. One more thing, third thing I would say is don't be afraid. It doesn't matter which nationality you have. It doesn't matter which passport you have or from which country you come from. You are the same human as all the others on the planet. If you want, you can do it. Just you need to master everything. and believe in yourself. This is what in the beginning, as I said, coming to Germany, I was quite hesitant. But then once I saw my good results after the semester exam, I believed in myself, and was a good decision. The last thing I would advise young generation is to think about from the perspective of let's say employer when you want to apply somewhere. If you apply into a company for internship or a job, try to imagine that you are the manager, or you are the someone who is reviewing this your CV. You are the someone who built this position, who wrote this position. What is the most important things that you need to show in your CV, or you need to show during the interview to convince the person to take you, to convince the person to give you the internship? So change the perspective always. Don't be in your box. Don't think that only from your perspective, but go outside of the box and think what other people are thinking about you, what other people are required, what they want, what they need. Try to change the perspectives. This is very important. This would help you also to understand how the world works, how the processes in organization works. This is very important to boost your career. The faster you understand it, the better for you. Yes, I think, so just to sum it up, English, professional skills, foundation skills. Don't be afraid, do it. Don't be afraid of anything, and think from different perspectives.
Yeah, very good recommendations. Thank you, Timur.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. And maybe, one of the last questions, maybe, where do you see yourself in, like, maybe after finishing your PhD, or maybe you reach some level of career advancement, and then maybe planning to be a goose farmer, some some CEOs, the memes, or where do you see yourself in the future, and have you already found your life fulfillment in your job, or are you still seeking for it?
That's a great question. I have a lot of things in mind, actually, and I think there could be still a lot of changes in my life regarding that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be a goose farmer, probably not. For example, I would like to again recall all my musical skills. Maybe you see the piano at the back side. It's still closed, but after I finished my musical education back then in Uzbekistan, I got the diploma. I stopped playing, but now when you're getting older, it turns out that you want to refresh this. You understand how valuable and important these things are. So I would love to find the time again to start refreshing my skills, and my family, especially my mom, would love to see me playing. So this is something that outside of the professional level, I would be happy to master again. But regarding the professional career, I think there are still a lot of organizations I would love to work at, also on the governmental level, also on related to finance and AI in finance. I mean, this field is evolving quite fast, especially in the finance domain. It enters quite fast as well. So, as I said, there are a lot of areas where I would love to gain some experience, also help others. I also don't exclude the teaching perspective. So maybe sometimes in the future, I would say, hey, I don't want this anymore. I want to teach students, maybe go to some university and start teaching students, or to give some lectures. I would also I would like this. So as I said, it's still open for me, but I hope it would bring a lot for the society in general. I hope so.
I wish you the best. Like, I hope you can do your hobbies one day. Like, the Goldman Sachs CEO doing like DJ. It's really like when you become the Deutsche Bank. I mean, maybe Deutsche Bank CEO or someone else. Maybe you will be a famous player as well.
Thank you. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, who knows? We'll see. The time will show. And
but personally, I would love to see you in the future at Central Bank of Uzbekistan, leading the AI and data science related field of the central bank. Maybe that would be also great because for the development of our country and banking sector as well.
Yeah, who knows? I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who are much more stronger than me who would take these roles with pleasure. But I also would love to, if I can help anyhow, of course, I would be happy to help. Sure.
Yeah, that was a great conversation, Timur, and I'm happy that we are the first content creators to discover you, because that in Uzbek content, maybe you follow them, there is like certain number of people who is always giving interviews, like Vigzat Hoshimov, Botur Kobolov. Yeah, they are very good, like researchers than people, but I think we have much bigger number of people, scientists in the world who can share their knowledge with the people. So I think like the first time you're sharing your experience in such a long time, and hope to see you in other podcasts as well, and also hope I will be happy to organize another session with you in person as well, or in this podcast style. I would be happy. Yeah, that was very useful, at least for me, and I'm sure for the audience of our channel as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for these kind words, Anwar. For me, it was also quite nice to share my overview on that. I have to thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure, and I wish a young generation of Uzbekistan much success in the future, and very happy to see young stars in the future, young Uzbek stars anywhere on the planet. Then I hope you, and I also would like to thank you, Anwar, for this interview, and wish you also much success in your career, in your professional life, and in the future as well.
Thank you, Timur. Thank you very much. That was a lot of pleasure. Then now we can stop recording, and then
cool.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yep.